But we did play the first 4 minutes really good.
I was gonna say,
Donnie pointed that out.
Don Granato made a point to remind us.
Thanks.
They had a good start. I mean,
Thanks.
they did.
They did.
They
But
had
it
a
was
good
4
first
minutes.
5 minutes, but then,
Then you get scored on.
Connor Clifton uses a man, Levi gives up a juicy rebound, and bam, you're down 1-0. And that's the game. Well, actually, no, that wasn't the game. The game was when you got Brad Marchand to be Brad Marchand and take an extra 2-minute penalty. So you had 4 minutes on the power play, and you had 1 shot on goal. 1. That was the game. That was it. People were complaining about that ticky-tacky call on Skinner in the second period. That's just NHL refereeing, okay? They evened the score. They gave you a chance. You didn't capitalize. Boston got their power play, and they buried. I mean, what did they go? 3 for 4 on the power play?
Boston was 3 for 4. The Sabres were 0 for 6.
0 for 6.
We've been beating around the bush here. That's the big issue with this team. It's the power play. This has got to be the worst power play I've ever seen.
Dude, you guys know, I've been talking about this since I want to say like February of this year.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so ahead of the curve, but it was more like I've been saying the same thing forever. Like last season, they had a high conversion rate, but it's because of the shooting talent. Once Tage Thompson started getting covered, oh, look at that. The conversion rate went down. They're still at the bottom of the league in actual shot quality on the power play. They're at the top of the league in quality given against on the power play. And here we are, a fresh season where teams know what you're trying to do, and you're at the bottom of the league, where you belong, because even though they acknowledged at the end of the season, oh, we know it needs to get better. We know. Nothing changed. I mean, they looked good in the preseason. I don't know what happened when we got to the regular season. It looks even worse than last year.
It really
looks even worse.
It really just with each game going by, it just feels like the organization, the front office, and the coaching staff after last season ended just went, all right, going to take a nap. See you next season. Not going to do anything. Kevin Adams woke up for 5 minutes to sign 2 defensemen that are both our 5th and 6th, and technically, I guess, 7th sometimes. Defensemen. Nobody else re-signed the same guys. Didn't address the goaltending situation. Didn't address the power play issues that were glaring. Penalty kill improved as it should have. We were due for it, but regressed back to the median as it should.
Yep. I mean, that's another thing. Early in the season, we were talking about how good it looked, and it looked a lot better, but Tage Thompson went down with an injury, then Jordan Greenway went down with an injury, and now you're scrambling for penalty killers, and since that point it's looked rough. I think they're operating at like a 70% rate since I don't even know when. It's bad.
God,
both special teams are bad, and that was the game last night. That was you lost that game because of your shitty special teams.
God, I would just love to show up to work every day and just be an absolute waste of space and get paid millions of dollars. Oh my God, I dream to do that.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious. If you remember when we had a 4-on-3, and who was the 4 they put out? It was Dahlin, Cousins, both are fine, Skinner and Olofsson. That was our 4-on-3. And what do you think they did? They did nothing.
It's not a surprise. It's so predictable. It's predictable. I mean, we make jokes. They should just decline the power play 5-on-5. But it's true. They are worse. Alex Tuck said it best. They had more chances on their goddamn penalty kill.
Mm-hmm.
They're objectively worse on the power play than on 5v5.
I said the Bruins should just keep taking
just
penalties.
Whatever they're up
it doesn't matter.
4-on-3, 5-on-4, 6-on-5.
Yep.
Or out 6-on-4. Remember the Detroit game when they were coming down from 4-0? It's 4-3 with 2 minutes left. Oh my God! You have a 6-on-4. Nothing. You let an empty netter go in. I've never seen a team worse with having a man up on the other team. Or even 2 men. 5-on-3, 6-on-4. Like you name it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And there's no accountability.
There's nothing.
I don't like to make the accountability point because I feel like it could be lazy. But seriously, like right here, right now, it's nothing. I mean, you are supposed. I say supposed. You are supposed to be one of the best offenses in the league, and System changes be damned. I mean, like, when you're on the power play and you have some of the best top to bottom skill in the league on your forward unit, and you can't put, like, even if it was just league average, you're bottom 5 in the league. You're hanging around like the St. Louis Blues or the New York Islanders. Like, I don't know. I don't know the power play rankings off the top of my head, but those are the teams you're near. You're near teams that don't want to win hockey games. And this was supposed to be the year you wanted to take that step. And you did nothing to address it. You still haven't done anything to address it. Another thing with Don Granato, he finally said, I'm going to be more involved with the power play. Like, great, but you waited 3 months to say that.
You waited way too long. You couldn't have seen it after the first, like, even 10 games? Like, what is going on? Like, does he... I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. Go.
Do you think that...
Go.
Do you think their power play looks really good in practice? Because they're going against their own penalty kill.
Probably.
And they're just like, man, I don't get it. Why is it not good in games?
So good.
Or when they can't enter the zone, the penalty kill is like, okay, let's just let them
Well,
get in the
that's
zone
been
and
the-
set up so they could practice.
They have like 3 fouled entries, so that the killers are like, all right, guys, let's let them get in. Let's let them practice.
we need them to practice the actual power
That's
play. And
been
they can't
the-
even get in the zone.
That's been the big thorn in my side this year is just watching the transitions, like the break-ins, even at 5v5, just awful. Makes me want to puke so bad.
I know you don't like the drop pass in the power play. I
They
don't.
just do it wrong.
I was gonna say I don't mind that, but their only play once they actually get into the zone, once they get into the blue line, it's a cross ice pass. That's what they try and do. Tuck will bring it in the zone, then he'll try and get it all the way to the other side. It doesn't work every time, and like it's crazy because I hear people like around me when I'm at games like, why does this team's break-in look so easy? Well, because first of all, we do not pressure the blue line as much as other teams do, and that's why they do it against us, because we can't break it. We haven't broke it for over like a year and a half. Like, it's so easy to defend us. Like, it's insane. It's the same play every time. Get in the zone, make a cross-ice pass, and hopefully someone can dangle someone, and we'll get lucky. And then if they dump it in, like, you're not going to get it because we can't forecheck. Like,
They're just not moving because even when you dump it in, you're supposed to be the first team on the puck.
Yep.
They always get beaten there because nobody's moving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving. That's the trend. And I think I've said this before. It's so funny that their power play, one of the reasons it is so bad is because nobody moves.
Mhm.
And that's like the opposite of what you think this team would do. You think it would be the opposite. This power play stinks because they're moving too much. I mean, Jeff Skinner moves a lot. He's all over the
Not in
place.
the
But
right
everybody
spots.
else,
At least he's trying. God bless him.
That's what you wanna
At least
call
he's
it.
trying.
You know what? I'll say he went out for a stroll last night. I could not stand him.
I
last
thought,
night.
yeah.
I could not stand him. He was really, really bad. But like you were saying, like for the power play, like I honestly think they don't try and open up anything. They're waiting for a mistake by the penalty killers.
There's not a single set play
no.
other than let's get it to Tage Thompson. Let's see what he can do.
Or the
Or,
Everyone's ready
the
for
drop
it.
pass.
But last night, you don't have Tage Thompson, so you don't know what to do.
But Victor Olofsson, who has 3 goals this year, is going to save the top power play unit.
I mean, I guess. I mean, at least it gives them a trigger, man. It just there's no like
Not even a trigger. He's
there's
shooting
no
blanks half the
there's no
time.
familiarity with it. There's no there's not like a play where like, okay, the Sabres try this every time. Maybe teams are catching on to it, but there's no we talk about the bumper, but there's no, it's not like Tage Thompson gives it to Alex Tuck and then drives the net and they go for that. Or it's not like Alex Tuck gets the pass at the goal line and tries to dish it across to the guy on the other side of the ice. Like there's nothing. There's nothing of that. It's like they don't know what to do with it.
It was literally just their whole plan was get it to Tage in the Rockstar zone and have him rifle it into the back of the net. Now teams just all everyone had to do was shift the box into a diamond because then you got Tage covered the entire time. It's like who could have seen
There's
that
nobody
one
in
coming?
you don't have to worry about the bumper because half the time
Because
they
no
don't
one's
have
there.
one.
No one's there.
I saw Jeff Skinner take a one-timer from the goal line yesterday on the power play. Just want you to know that.
It's his patented move.
That's Rockstar. That's Rockstar shit right there. Imagine that went in. Electric.
Dude,
turning point.
The one time, it did. He
Mhm.
scored from blind. I was at the game. I remember he scored from the below the goal line. I'm like, oh my God, like we scored, but like it's gonna encourage him to do it more.
It's like,
He still does it.
It's like you're encouraging bad behavior now. It's awful. And then the lineup decision's just so suspect. Like they got better once we went back to like the run and gun offense, but they put Tyson Jost as their first line center and then waived him the next day.
This is actually something I really want to get into, like something that has not been talked about enough this year, because it's being done to players that fans really don't care that much about. It's their management of individual players that like they're not playing for the team, and they got shipped down to Rochester. Like let's go to Tyson Jost, okay? Borderline saves the season last year. Gets claimed off waivers. People don't think much of it, ourselves included. Comes in, is one of their slots in as their third line center. Becomes one of their best two-way players on the roster. Ignites Casey Middlestat into what he's becoming now. I mean, we remember Casey early last year. He was lost, and now he's arguably the best player on the team this season. And he comes in, and he also helps Victor Olofsson have his best stretch of the season last year, when he was red hot during the end of December and into January. He borderline saves their bottom six because it gave him a third scoring line, and comes into this season. All right, there was a shady qualifying offer situation where it was weird that they didn't really want to sign him. Comes into this year, I think is scratched for opening night. Mm-hmm. Comes back into the lineup, basically gets banished to the fourth line or whatever. He's given no chance to move up in the lineup or anything, and here we are. He slots in for Tage Thompson on the top line, and less than 24 hours later, he's on waivers. What are we doing here? Why? JP and I have had this conversation. He doesn't understand why Tyson Jost was brought back, really. And I understand that to a degree because you brought Okposo and Girgensons back. But if you want to be honest, he was the best out of the three last season. So to me, it makes complete sense why they brought him back. But he was the last one to sign. So at that point, it's like, well, why are you bringing him back? You're bringing back the same roster otherwise. And here we are. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm mad that Tyson Jost was waived. Not really. He hasn't been good this year, but it's a pattern, because look at Jacob Bryson. Okay? One of their nightly players from the last 2-3 seasons comes into this year, is the 7th D, which is understandable. Gets into a game like 3 weeks after the season starts, plays good in the 2 to 3 games he plays, but he hasn't suited up for a game since November 4th. Not a single game. And they waited till 2 weeks ago to finally send him down to Rochester? What are you doing? This season, I mean, in the games he played, sure, it's an ultra small sample size, but he's better than Connor Clifton was at that point. He's better than Eric Johnson was. I'm not clamoring for him to get games, but you can't just sit him for 2 months. And look at where we are with Eric Comrie. That poor dude.
Yeah,
gets signed to be the starting goalie of the Sabres last year. He was signed to be the starter. He didn't get. He's been all over the place in his NHL career. Been to Detroit, New Jersey, Winnipeg. He's been all over the place. Comes here because he's finally going to get the opportunity to at least get the chance to prove himself as at least an NHL goalie. Comes here, gets that opportunity for about a month and a half, plays okay, doesn't kill the team, has some good stretches. I remember he stole those 2 games in Alberta last year. Then he gets hurt. Then he goes out for an injury with 2 months. Comes back. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had stolen the crease. So now he comes back up. There's 3 goalies. He's not able to get back into a rhythm. He suffers through the rest of the season. He suffers while the coach leaves him out for 10 goals against the goddamn Dallas Stars. He plays 2 games later against the New York Islanders. All the analysts are joking post game about letting up 10 goals a game before. doesn't start any of the remaining games. I mean, what was the last game he started last season?
I don't
The
know.
Montreal game, which was, I think, March. So he didn't play a single game in April. Goes through this offseason, doesn't get dealt, doesn't get moved. None of the goalies above him are moved. Comes into this season, is the best goalie in the preseason. So he's forcing them not to make a move on their other two goalies. They have to keep him on the roster with the other two goalies. And here we are. He starts the season as still like the best goalie, and then he goes down with a non-contact injury. Comes back as a okay start against the Winnipeg Jets, but lets in a flub game-winning goal. And he hasn't played since. What was that, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
It feels longer. It feels like it's been forever.
And we saw the tweet from Lance Lysowski today. He asked Eric Comrie what he thinks about the three-man goalie situation. And he's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's like, what are you doing with some of these players? What is this roster management?
It's awful.
It's terrible. And I expect Kevin Adams to be better than this. I do.
I don't know if they're
And here
holding
we
out
are.
for trade
I mean,
partners.
now you're gonna have Jacob Bryson, Tyson Jost, Eric Comrie, and Riley Stillman in the AHL.
It's like $8 million.
And look, every single one of those players, they're NHL players. They're NHL players. I mean, and Stillman, I mean, that really hasn't been talked about. He was good down the stretch last year. And he hasn't even gotten a game up with them.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not really like he should, but they trade a prospect for him, and he's marinating in the AH. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense what they're doing with some of these guys, and like that's a side of it that just hasn't been discussed. Like they refuse to make the decisions until they have to. Like the poor guy. I actually feel for him. He's like Bryson, where it's like, why is he on this roster still? They both don't want him to play, but don't want to send him down? Like, why? What's the wait?
I don't.
Are you looking for a trade partner? Or, I mean, if you are, like, why weren't you doing so in the summer when it was so obvious that he was probably the third man in then? And it's December 28th. December 28th. There is still 3 goalies on the roster. This was something coming into the year we couldn't even think about happening. After last season, we thought we were done with this. It's persisted for 3 months.
It's getting to a point where it's just completely inexcusable. Like this is not. I know they won't do this next year, but like if they even entertained any sort of thought, like they were like, oh, we want to keep Luukkonen around, but we need a better goalie, but we also want Levi. Like, no, they can't make the tough decisions. I don't understand what's going on with the front office. They can't they can't part with any of their guys. I understand Girgensons has been here for more than 10 years, and you want to do him right by maybe giving him a shot at a team that could run to the playoffs. He's not helping you. I understand that Tyson Jost was, I guess, he was a good waiver pickup, and you wanted to bring him back. You're already bringing Girgensons back. Why are you bringing both of them back? On top of it, Kyle Oposo brought him back too. It's another of the same player. You're not getting better. Why did we think in the offseason that this team got better? By any stretch of the imagination.
Because we bought in.
We
bought in. And that's the worst thing. Like, it's finally, like you're seeing now, they effed up so many times in the last few months. Like, you're right. It's like, how did we not see this coming?
How did we not see this happening? And you know what? We're getting to a point where it's do or die. If we have to say goodbye to the season, I'm expecting an overhaul of this roster next year. And I'm not saying shipping out core pieces. I'm saying anyone that you can consider remotely expendable, you entertain the thought of trading him, because there's too many cooks in the kitchen right now. I understand. We think we have 3 top lines. We have, the stud line, we have the kid line, we have the dog line, and we have the, I guess, RKO line. But Robinson hasn't even been playing.
Robinson hasn't been playing. Here's the funny thing.
Never mind.
If Girgensons comes back, is he going to get back in the lineup at all?
Well, he was practicing as the number 1 center today.
I don't like Kevin Adams consistently preaches that he has a plan, and I think he does for the long term. Short term, I feel like he's doing this on the fly.